Hi, welcome to this assignment video about the profit calculator. Stefan, you've made an exercise using the calculator. All kinds of numbers here. Can you talk us through it? What are the main things here?
So, first of all, this is a profit calculator based on the numbers of my old company, which I sold a while back. You may remember it. It was a web hosting company specializing for services to gamers.
So what you did, you rented out facilities, so servers, so that people could run games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you.
Okay. So your revenues come from?
From selling, voice servers and game servers, they're called. Those were the two main products. Then there were also web hosting, where you could put your website, and the domains, which is the addresses to go to your website. Now, the first challenge I had when filling in this, after selecting, I'm doing this on a monthly basis, is that I needed to think, okay, what's actually what I'm selling exactly? If we take the first one, which were voice servers.
It's a specific type of server?
It's a specific type of server. It allows you to communicate between you and your friends.
Okay.
They're sold in packets.
Yeah.
And you have a packet of 10, which means that a maximum of 10 friends can communicate at the same time. You have a packet of 20, maximum 20, etc., up until 200, and you can subdivide them in small groups, etc.
And I guess they're in different price.
Exactly. So if you get a bigger one, they're like the per unit price is cheaper than you have a very small packet.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. But then the question is, do I list every single server I have as a different item, or do I sell individual units and do that as an item?
Yeah. So here you took like the average price for those units.
Exactly. So you see the number is relatively high. I took average price per unit and then got my amount.
Okay.
Second thing is game servers. Now, I also did it similarly. I said like, okay, average price per amount, and that gives me a revenue.
Okay. Yeah.
And domains and web hosting, they're a bit more simpler. They are a bit more standardized, but also same idea. I just took them as they are. And then there's the interesting thing that I also sold billable hours, which was an extra source of revenue, which basically meant that I just did jobs for people.
Okay, so it's separate.
So that's the revenues part, but it's a source of revenue, so I took it in. Then we have the costs, which are split in fixed and variable. Now, starting with the variable expenses, they're very easy one here is the cost per voice server. So this is also a reason why I chose the single unit, because every unit here has a direct licensing fee. So I need to pay for every unit of capacity that I offer.
Yeah. So you're basically reselling.
I'm basically reselling.
You buy it for 12 cents, you sell it for 25 cents.
Sort of, yes.
Okay.
So in this case, I chose the per unit capacity to make this more easy, to also make the calculation of profit more easy. Then cost per game service, they did not have licensing fees, so I did not have an extra fee on top of every unit I sold. For domain names, I did. For web hosting, like game servers, I did not, and for billable hours, I did not either, because
it's only your time.
It's only my time.
Your time is free.
But what these servers all need is actually infrastructure, which is in the fixed expenses. So I have server space, and which is sort of a cage in which I put my servers in a specialized area where there's good internet connection and good electricity, so my servers can run all the time.
Okay.
Then I need the actual servers, which I need to buy, and I have a depreciation over here because I put in a monthly fee, monthly reservation for paying off those servers.
Okay.
But these are fixed amounts.
Yeah. So that doesn't matter how much you sell, these costs are always there.
I always have these costs.
Yeah.
There is a sort of a relation, because if I sell a lot of units, at some point I need to upgrade my servers.
Yeah.
But in general, these servers are so powerful that you can sell tons of on the very left column.
I see. Okay.
Now, that also has an interesting dynamic that I observed, because apart from the fact if you're making a profit or not, which is a pretty easy question to answer, I think it's interesting to see what kind of strategy and what's behind the numbers. So if you look over here, the large part of my costs are in the fixed expenses. And you can see that I can basically offer whatever I want for the same amount of costs, or same amount of fixed expenses.
Yeah.
Which means that I can make the single unit that I sell very cheap, because selling one extra doesn't really cost me anything.
No.
If you look back to one of the early videos I had, I said my strategy was I need to get very big, very fast to be able to have a lot of economies of scale, which comes back to the selling costs.
Because your costs are most of your costs are fixed. You want to drive your volume because that's the only way that you can become profitable.
Exactly.
And better than your competitors.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now then, there are some other interesting observations. For example, if you add the cost that I need for being able to sell a domain, so I need to have a fixed monthly fee in order to sell domains, plus my cost per domain, I get about 75 of costs each month.
Here your revenues are 78 euros.
Yes.
So you have to stop.
I would say I had to stop it because it's not very profitable and my time goes in it, right? So but then again, I need the domains in order to offer web hosting.
Yeah.
So even though you would say like, oh, this isn't very profitable standalone, it's bundled with something else which is again very profitable. Yeah. And then I actually do need to keep it in.
So for the business model as a whole, you need to have also this offering, which doesn't give you a lot of profits, but it's necessary for the other offering.
It is necessary for the business model as a whole.
Okay.
And on a final note, my hours aren't yet in the variable or fixed expenses. Normally, if I would pay myself a salary, I would put it here. Or if I would bill myself by the hour or pay myself out by the hour, I would put it here.
Yeah.
But since this was a special construction, special type of business where we did it as friends, we started it as friends, we did not include the hours and simply took the profits as our salary at the end of the month.
So your salary was 700 euros per month.
Shared.
Your profits.
Yes.
No, that's reasonable for a bunch.
But that does affect how you calculate your revenue and expenses.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Stefan.
Thank you.
Very insightful case with a lot of issues playing around, like how do you deal with your fixed costs. If your fixed costs are very high, you should focus on high volumes. And also the issue of how do you deal with your salary as an entrepreneur? Is it just your salary, or do you see it as the profits? Okay, I hope it gives you an insight in how you could exercise this tool. And I wish you good luck in filling out the assignment.